Susan, on over. Yep.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the people who work for the good of our community. Help us to make good decisions that will be of benefit to all. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Susan. Roll call.
Meadows,
Here.
Robertson, Hurt,
Here.
Elbert,
Here.
Venable,
Here.
Turner,
Here.
Stock,
Here.
Young.
Here. We're all here. Welcome. Hearing of citizens' comments, if you have some comments you'd like placed before us, please come up, identify yourself and sign in. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the reminder.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, I would like to address you on two subjects. First, the traffic on Wayland going east. Vehicles traveling fast going up and down that hill. Cars are parked on both sides of the street, making it very dangerous for children playing or riding bikes. When children dart from between parked cars, it's impossible for people to stop. Could there be some signs, children at play, slow, or perhaps a posted speed limit? I have a great-granddaughter who lives on that street. The second item, I'm very disappointed the council would allow solar panels on the ground across from 501 Sonia Drive. No one in Rolling Heights received any written notice concerning this. The City of Boonville is very much for tourism, and Route B is one of the main entrances into the town. I believe our home adds a lot of attractiveness to this town. We own 3 lots. I hope the council will pass an ordinance that solar panels must be placed on rooftops, and that the council will not allow wind turbines within the city. I'm asking this so that other citizens will not have their property value hurt. I believe the council failed to do their due diligence, and I will read you from the Declaration of Protection, Restrictions, and Covenant of Rolling Heights. No lot shall be used except for residential purposes. These restrictions, covenants, and agreements are to run with the land and shall be binding upon all parties and all persons claiming under them for a period of 50 years. It has been 26 years. The date of this was October the 31st of 1995. So that's my comments. Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you for yours as well. Anybody else? Laura?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Ma'am.
Sir, Barry, we don't do that during.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
That's okay.
Good evening.
Hi, Laura.
I'm Laura Gramlich. This is Luke Holler.
Hi, Luke.
We are from the Boonville Chamber of Commerce, and we want to address 2 issues tonight, too. It looks like a double night here. The first thing we want to talk about is the 1860s baseball game that we had this weekend. It was a very successful event. I don't know how many people were able from the council to go out and see that. but we approximate that we had about 300 people in the park in that area Saturday throughout the day. And we want to thank the Parks Department and the city for all the help that they gave us, for the Booster Club for their help, making this a great family-friendly event that we hope to carry on next year too. So we want to thank everybody for that. It was a great turnout, and if you didn't get to see it this year, come out next year. You'll be pleasantly surprised. Second thing is that within the last few weeks, we had a meeting with the Heritage Days Committee. Michael Stock was there at that, and Morris Carter. It was a very successful meeting. We went over the map that we had previously emailed to most of the council members. I don't think Barry got one. He wasn't on the council yet. There was just a couple of changes that we had for that. I don't know if Michael was able to share that with you all or not. But I guess what we're here to talk about tonight is just that Heritage Days is fast approaching, that we'd like to go ahead and seek approval however we need to go ahead and get that taken care of, and then we can start collecting the signatures. We have not had a chance to get the majority of signatures collected at this point, but hope to bring back the next council meeting with the signatures and all the requests for proposals.
From what I understand, it will be on the agenda for the next meeting.
Very good, very good. But we just wanted to kind of update you that the committee did kind of meet with Morris and Michael. It was very successful.
Good.
We feel really good about what we've kind of proposed, and just kind of wanted to update you all on that.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
This will be the most peaceful Heritage Days preparation in several years. Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Approval of the minutes of the April 19th, 2021 council meeting. They are on pages 3 through 7. Any changes or corrections? Then they will stand as submitted. Thank you. There are no consent items. Presentation of accounts and claims is on page 8.
Ordinance appropriating money be it ordained by the council of the city of Boonville as follows. Section 1. For the purpose of paying salaries and various accounts against the city of Boonville, which have been allowed by the council at the regular meeting thereof on May the 3rd, 2021, the sum of $417,690.50. General fund, $138,436.27. Sanitation, $17,846.54. CIP tax, $53,774.46. Waterworks, $97,194.97. Capital projects, $0.00. Wastewater, $27,850.06. Tourism, $7,546.26. Gaming, $69,937.87. Parks and Water, $0.00. Kemper sales tax, $5,104.07. Economic development projects, $0.00. Section 2. The accountant is hereby authorized and instructed to draw checks from the respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed as above, amounting to $417,690.50, being the total amount of money above appropriated. Section 3. This ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage. First reading on May the 3rd, 2021. Read for the second time this May 3rd, 2021, since a copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Second reading, title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Motion to approve?
Thank you, Susan. Is there a second? Whitney, is there a second? Any comments or questions? Roll call.
Meadows,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Elbert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young.
Yes. Passes, thank you. There is no unfinished business. Under new business, item A, receive request from city attorney for supplemental funding. It's on pages 9 and 10. Is there a motion?
Mayor.
Thank you, Whitney. Second, Michael, thank you. Discussion. Questions, comments?
This is the final under this program.
Yes, sir?
Can you remind me what was the payment? Remember,
This one, or total?
going forward.
40,000.
Oh, okay.
Anything else, Albert?
No, thank you.
Anybody else? Roll call.
Meadows,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Albert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young.
Yes. Item B, discussion of city committee structure. If you'll take your packet, page 12 and 13, probably is the easiest one to take a look at. And Kate, do you want to review your memo for?
I'll just note that this is kind of coming out of the conversation we had last time when Paul Linhart asked about the cemetery committee. The cemetery committee is not the only one that is suffering, so we just kind of put them all here, and I'm open to changes for any of them. I just made some recommended changes, and the next steps at the end are whether there's an ordinance change, or if there's no change or whatever. But I addressed every committee. I'm not saying we have to do every committee. I just thought, well, I'm working on one, we might as well work on them all.
Good. Questions, comments?
A question about the number of people on the committee. How is that decided?
It's in ordinance typically,
The number of,
members.
what is that based on, do you know?
Just based on the ordinance that was written and approved by the council at that time.
It could be a 2-year-old ordinance or a 2-year-old.
I just wonder if, some of them 6 people, I wonder if we need that many people on the boards, would be my question, I guess, on some of them. And then the other question, I guess, I see there's a couple there where it's eliminate / on call of the chair. What does that mean?
Well, if we eliminate it, then you would amend the ordinance, which some of those committees are called out in ordinance 2-226, which is where the city commissions were set up. Or the other option is you could just change their meeting schedule to on call of the chairman, which would mean that they would only meet if they wanted to.
Okay.
That's an option, but of course, if you were gonna do on-call of the chairman, you would still theoretically have to have a fully stocked committee all the time, as opposed to, I just noted that you could create ad hoc. So, for example, when we were working on the swimming pool, the Parks and Recs Board was really active because they were doing a lot with the swimming pool planning and doing those things. Now, maybe they're not doing so much, so maybe the ad hoc would be where we are having some sort of significant project that we want to make sure we have citizen input on.
Is the lack of participation, is that primarily due to no agenda items, or is it due to nothing to talk about? I mean, people can't make it, I'm sorry. People can't get there. Do you know, or do we know?
I think the perception is it's the former, the agenda.
Nothing to talk about.
Yeah. You through?
Yeah, I just,
Okay. Anybody else? I prefer not to go first or second.
I would add to Albert, I think what's hard is some of these, since they're advisory, I think people, I know I've been asked to be on an advisory board before too, and really, I think people don't always feel empowered on an advisory board, so it's not maybe the most exciting, because you'll just listen to what's going on and, okay, sounds good.
Okay, I'll start with Airport Advisory Committee, having tried to sit on that twice. It's interesting. The question I have on that is, could we simply, eliminate the committee, which is fine, but get quarterly reports? And of course, we'd have to decide what it is we want reported. But we don't get anything right now, other than whatever appears on the budget. Second one, Board of Public Works. And this is old, Kate and Teresa, but at one time, Board of Public Works was state regulated in some way. It's a very, very large expense area and a very large employee area. I'd like to have us take a look at what the statutes require for us there. At one time, the statutes required that committee approve all of the bills. And I don't even know if that still exists.
Yeah, we looked briefly at this, and I think one thing Teresa and I thought was particularly interesting, just to put into context, when the Board of Public Works was created, it was created in 1950. We didn't have a city administrator until 1970.
Right.
So I'm not saying the city administrator is the only person, but
Oh,
I think the times have changed where there's been more staff added, so there's just much more staff working as opposed to the Board of Public Works, who's really acting as a board directing the work of the Board of Public Works, but now it's more staff driven. And then obviously you guys are approving it. We did look at RSMO. I would want to make sure with Doug to confirm, but it says that it didn't have definitive language like you must. You may. I think it's a may. So you may have a Board of Public Works. So I think you could actually eliminate the entire Board of Public Works. I don't think you have to have it, but I would want to confirm that with Doug.
Yeah, we need to get Doug's opinion on that. I'm not necessarily, it's not my vote, it's everybody's here vote, but that's a big organization. It would seem to me if we would at least want to see quarterly reports from them, if we don't have to approve the bills every month. Fire board.
Go back cemetery. I'm not gonna let you skip the list, sorry. Cemetery's right above fire board.
We already had our commentary.
Eliminate.
Oh, sure. I'm not arguing with what I'm not talking about.
Okay, I didn't get the memo.
No, you didn't, did you? And I didn't send one, so that's probably why. Fire board, it's a big safety issue. I think the on-call of the chair probably is adequate. But I think we've got a personnel issue that we want to deal with there, and that we deal with that with the council as well as with the management. IDA, at one point, somewhere along the line, we were going to eliminate that, and then we found out something about the finances or the deposits that forced us to keep it. This is just, is that true?
So the IDA, if you remember, as a council, you guys gave $1 million to them to support economic development in the city of Boonville. At the time that we transitioned from having Jim Gann as a contract to contracting with the CDC, we didn't think it was a good idea. We didn't think that you guys were interested in advancing all those funds to the IDA, that $1 million, that you'd want to keep that on the city side.
All right, so there's nothing sitting at IDA, is that
There's
correct?
$1 million, $750,000.
Oh, it's still sitting there.
Yep, it has
Okay,
not
so-
been spent.
Well, that means we don't change anything there. Does BCDC have access to that money, or does that have to be released by IDA?
It has to be released by IDA, but there's common board members, they're just not the county
Okay.
people.
Because that's there for economic development. Parks and Recreation, the same comment there that I had with Board of Public Works. It's a very large area of expense. It's a very large area of employment for us. I would argue against eliminating, but you know, if you did, the difference between quarterly and on-call is not very big. But because of the size of the department, the number of people that we have, I would not want to see that eliminated. Those were my comments that I got inside there. Anybody else? All right,
I'll just say too, we don't have to make the decision tonight, so we can put it back on tomorrow. If you guys want to digest this some more, if you have questions.
well, we got a couple of things that we need to look up too, so we'll get those done and then come back with recommendations for y'all to accept or reject. How's that?
Sounds
All right. Got a thumbs up from Whitney. Phew. That's pretty cool. Didn't say a word. Who are you and where'd you take Whitney? Reports of standing committees. Cemetery Board did not meet. Housing Authority,
We met and I was introduced to Bob Rohr, and everything is going pretty good for us even so.
he's a really interesting gentleman. I think
Yes,
if
he
you
is.
spend a little time with him, you'll find he runs a good operation also.
Yeah.
Very. Thank you. Street, alley, and sanitation, Steve?
Canceled due to lack of agenda.
Okay. Board of Public Works, Curtis is not here, that was canceled. Reports of city officials, city administrator.
Okay, well, as I mentioned at the last meeting, that we're gonna kind of do a little road show without leaving your seat of all the various departments here at the city. Tim graciously agreed to go first, so I also put a schedule just so you can see who's coming up ahead of time, so you can have all your questions ready for them when they show up. And then also, I just noted that if, after the presentation, if any of you have either follow-up questions or interested in visiting the buildings, touring the facilities, I would just suggest maybe between their presentation and the next meeting to coordinate with the department head, and they will certainly make themselves available to you. So hopefully by the time we get all the way into the end of September, you'll have seen almost every facet of the city, at least a face for every facet of the city, and it'll just give you a better vision for all the things that we're working on. Tim, you're up.
All right, I just made about 4 paragraphs there, and I'm going to expand on each one of them just a little bit more. At the top's just all my contact information. We have 6 full-time personnel, including myself. We have 2 on one shift, 2 on the next shift, and 1 on the third shift. So each one of those shifts will work 24 hours, which gives everybody an average of 56 hours a week when it all runs through a year's amount of time. So they pick up a significant amount of overtime with the built-in time that they work and then calls that they make. Just so you kind of know how myself, I started in 1980 and became full-time in 1985, so I've got whatever it is, 36 years in full-time. 4 of my personnel are all over 20 years in, and the 5th one is probably approaching 16 or 17 full-time, so we don't have a lot of turnover. Actually, since I've become chief in 2002, I've only hired 2 people, and they've all been for the same position. The first one I hired left and went on to do something else, and the one that I hired second is still there, so you can't hardly run them off down there, so. But anyway, that's how we work. I put down that what all we respond to: fires, motor vehicle accidents, rescues, medical calls, miscellaneous service calls. We do several public service events, fire prevention events throughout the year. We have a fire extinguisher simulator that we do training usually once a year for Caterpillar. The Isle of Capri has had us before. CMMG's had us. We'll go to any and the healthcare facilities, all the nursing homes, we'll do those. Another thing that I forgot to put down there that we do, we also do fire inspections, and I mainly do the grease trap inspections too. know if many people are familiar with grease trap inspections and the outside, they're like a big septic tank, and then some places just have a grease trap under the sink. But anyway, we do those for all the schools and restaurants and residential care facilities, so that's another one of our duties that we squeeze in. And then went on to talk about the calls a little bit. We ran 973 calls last year, and 821 of those were just strictly medical calls. So you can see that most of what we do are medical calls. When I started in 1980, 70 calls a year was a big year for the department. And I had seen it as low as 30-some calls in a year is all we'd make in a year until we started running medicals. And then I've got records going all the way back to where we really first started running them, and it kind of went from 200 or 300 to 400 to 500. And this year we're on average to run well over 1,000 calls this year. So, and it's made it a little bit more difficult without having a hospital here. Every time anybody gets transported, they're going to Columbia. So it's very, very common to have both ambulances, either one in Columbia or one en route to Columbia. And so, you know, it's kind of putting a little bit more responsibility on my guys to do patient care until paramedics can get there. But that's just the way all fire departments are anymore. We were kind of hesitant about running all the medical calls, but you know, we're not creatures of change very much in fire service, but kind of had to go with the times and do it. And which on the medical calls, only my full-time guys on duty run those calls. We don't tone out the whole department. You don't want 15 guys, you know, coming in on some poor woman that's, you know, maybe just needing lift assist. So they don't get called out to those. The part paid personnel, they get paid per call. They'll get, I think it's $10 for a dry call, which means we don't use any water, and they get $20 for a wet call if they use water. And then anything over 2 hours that they're there, then they start making I think $10 an hour, anything over 2 hours. So they're not really in it for the money either. I mean, but it's getting harder and harder to find those part paid people because so many people don't have jobs that they can take off and run on like it was years ago when most of them worked in a service station or owned their own business, or Bobby in the Williver's drive-in business when he was a part paid fireman. So it's just harder and harder to get, and it's not just our department. You can talk to Dave Gim with the county, and they have just as much trouble keeping good volunteers that'll attend training and come to calls. And actually, we both have probably getting close to a half dozen that are on both departments just because they like it that well, and they will at least come. So, and then last of all, I just told a little bit about the updates over the past 10 years. We got to move into our new station, which I know you've all seen, and like I said, it's about 3 times of what our old station was. You could actually have put our old station inside the truck bay of the new station, so we were just way overcrowded. And then we got the new ladder truck and the new rescue mini pumper, and I really think we're in good shape right now on big equipment. I do need to think about updating SCBA and bunker gear, which I've talked to Kate about, and we've kind of got a little plan going on starting in on that. But I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody might have. Mm-hmm.
So when you call 911 and both the ambulances are out,
Mm-hmm.
and the rescue, you guys go, whose responsibility is it to call the other county for the backup?
The ambulance will do that, but I kind of asked about that situation, and evidently Howard County was tied up and they couldn't respond on calls, so there was just nothing but to just wait on a Cooper County ambulance to. It's a bad situation. I mean, it really is. It can be. It's gonna. I hate to say it, but it can get some. Be challenging, to say the least, and I don't know what the answer is. I don't know whether some other service might put in service here to have two different companies, running that because a lot of cities will have a couple different ambulance companies running out of it. And as you can see, if we're going to run 1,000 calls, that's just in the city limits, and the ambulance runs the whole county. They go to Otterville, they go to Prairie Home, Bunston, Pilot Grove. So a couple ambulances can be spread really thin, and then counting all the trips to Columbia. So they've got to be racking the miles up on them going to Columbia as many times they are, because so many of these would never, ever have been transported to Columbia if we still had an emergency room.
I have just a quick question, Tim. I've never understood, maybe you can explain. I've never understood why you could possibly have 3 departments responding. You could have the cops, you can have you guys, and you can have an ambulance. I've never understood why that's set up that way. Let's say we got a gunshot wound. Cops want to be there, they want to know what's going on. You got ambulance coming to treat, and then you guys triaging, or why is the need for 3? I've never understood that.
I think maybe Bobby could answer better for me, but the chances are you're going to get a police officer there before you ever get any of us, because they're already in their cars. They may be a block away or 2 blocks away. A good example of it was that fire that they all just got awarded for. They were all there on the scene before any of my personnel were, and it made a difference in that lady's life. There's many times the police officer might be doing CPR when we get there or the ambulance gets there.
Does the switchboard person sort that out, or?
Yeah, 911. It used to be, when we first started running medicals, there were certain criteria that they went ahead and toned the fire department out for, and they mostly had to be a heart attack, or it wouldn't be just for a nosebleed or a sore leg or even picking somebody up off the floor. But then slowly it got to be blended in that anytime the ambulance ran in the city, that the fire department would be dispatched to, with the exception of nursing homes, since they have RNs and stuff on duty and they figure they've got enough personnel. And even the Isle of Capri, a lot of times, we don't get, because they have EMTs, I assume, still on duty at the Isle also. But those are really the only 2 scenarios. And other than that, I don't know who made that decision. I think it was more or less a matter of possibly dispatch not wanting to take the responsibility of making a decision on what call they send everybody to, just in case. And if you listen to Columbia calls, they're doing the same thing. It's everywhere. And isn't that about right, Bob? But
We go to render aid immediately. That's what we try to do. So we always go to any medical call until we get taken off of that. Our officers have Narcan, so sometimes we have to administer Narcan for drug overdoses. So basically we go because we can get there faster than almost anybody. And if somebody's having a heart attack or something, a few minutes saves a life. And I can promise you that lady at that house fire would be dead today if our guys hadn't showed up.
Sure.
So we go until to at least make some kind of response, help the victim person until medics get there, the fire department get there, and then we can go on
about our business. But that's our main response, is just to render first aid immediately, as soon as possible, try to save somebody's life.
And there's sometimes, it takes a police officer to maybe settle somebody down a little
Yeah, there
bit
could be-
that's getting a little bit,
There could be fighting, you know,
Overly-
people are upset, things like that.
mhm.
I think it's a good thing to have all three of them come out, because in the case that I just experienced with my husband just a few weeks ago, you guys came out, and you stayed there until the ambulance came. Like I said, it was 40 minutes, and it was a heart issue. And
I know.
Boonville needs to do something. I mean, this is pretty.
You know, I don't want to be up here preaching that, trying to get another ambulance service and say, making them guys mad or something, but hell, I just actually asked somebody the other day, you know, with the university putting in the clinic out here, I said, I'm kind of surprised they don't throw a couple bays on there and drum up some business, but I don't know. Because aren't they gonna have a,
Urgent care.
urgent care?
Yeah.
But I'd welcome anybody that wants to come down and tour the place and take a ride up in the 101-foot aerial platform.
You're looking for volunteers, you may not find any.
But anybody else have any questions?
No,
Or?
I just would say, I think this is a good idea, because I think we all can use a refresher on what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't think people understand. A lot of people don't realize that, you know, they think, well, we do a lot of fires, but, you know, like this downtown fire, that's a once in 5-year fire, you know. Hell, our normal years anymore will be, it's nothing for us to just have $200,000 to $300,000 worth of damage, which is wonderful, you know. I mean, that's what you're hoping for, but you gotta have the equipment in case you do have something like that, so. Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Tim.
All right, so next council meeting will be waste management. They are scheduled to come, so they are contracted trash collection. Waste management recently acquired advanced disposal, so up till about a year ago, we were with advanced disposal, but now we're with waste management. And then Glenn Bishop will be here to talk about the health department that the city work does.
Okay, you got anything else?
I do not.
If we'll turn to page 20. Committee appointments to take care of. These are all on the fire board. I'm gonna screw this up. I know it, Teresa. Nicole Batrial.
Batriel.
You did right.
And I'm not even from Louisiana. Whew. Christy Linhart and Bill Hilden for fire board. Can I have a motion?
Yes, for this.
Also at the top, Board of Public Works.
Okay. And Curtis Robertson for Board of Public Works. Motion? Thanks, Whitney. Second?
I'll second it.
I'll second it.
Oh, boy. We got 3 seconds. You get to choose which one you
Got it.
put in there.
Got it.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
Meadows,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Albert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
City Clerk,
I have nothing. Thank you.
miscellaneous?
Were we going to,
Yes, I was.
oh, okay.
Boy, you're good.
Oh,
You're just reading my mind. Bobby, would you put the Wayland issue on your next police board agenda?
Sure.
That'll give a chance
We don't
for,
meet till June though, so.
well,
We'll get something done. We'll get what we'll try to do is get a sign out there or the speed trailer. Depends on, that's a narrow area there. If there's a sign or something, we can put one of those mounted speed signs, we can get one out there. So I'll have them go look and take a look at it and we can talk about the police board, but it's it's narrow out there.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, we've talked about this before. We've got some streets, Walnut is the worst, absolute worst, where we're parking on both sides of the street and we got almost enough room to walk between the cars. Wayland, when you're parked on both sides, you've only got one.
It's
You know,
narrow.
that's all one vehicle room for. And maybe that's something that we need to do, is we need to go back over that. I know nobody wants to talk about it. They don't wanna hear it.
I don't know where.
But it,
Maybe they should have parking on one side. My grandson lives on that street.
yeah, 7th Street is another one, you know.
No, it's on Wayland.
Oh, on
My
Wayland?
grandson
Yeah,
lives on
should be parking on one side, you're right.
He's parking.
But nobody wants to talk about that because it's a sacrifice, you know. If you would put that on your agenda, I'd appreciate it. Solar panels, can we have Steve take a look at what the codes are there?
Yeah, they were done when Megan was still here.
That's not too long.
Yeah, that's when we
It's
put them
within
in, and
10 years.
they are codes for both, roof mounted and then, you know, like on like a solar field. I don't know what the term, I'm not using the right term, but in the ground, and then there's also specified what zones they can go in. I believe the lot across the street was when you were on planning and zoning, so was it C2?
The one by the bank?
Yeah,
Yeah,
C1?
it's commercial.
It's commercial.
It's commercial,
Mhm.
right.
It's commercial zone law.
Yep.
So it was an ordinance that those would
Yeah.
be approved for the commercial.
So
law.
both of the ones
One
that
residential.
the lady mentioned were inspected and they were done according to
Yeah,
our
they went to planning
requirements.
and zoning, and this board approved their final plan.
Okay, all right. That takes care of those two things. Anybody else have a miscellaneous item?
I just wanted to note, we didn't put it in the packet, but in case you didn't tell by appointing Curtis Robertson to the board, that Curtis Robertson put in his resignation due to his work schedule. So that's why he's going to a board, in case you're, I should have clarified that, but.
So if anybody has a suggestion for a council person for Ward 3, let me know,
Where is it?
okay?
Where is 3?
Where is 3? 3 is in Ward 3.
He was in one, he was on 10.
It's
We got him out of Ward 1.
southeast, basically it's the southeast corner of the city,
Okay.
okay? So southeast quarter of the city. So if you have any suggestions, either let me know or Teresa know. We'll write them down and follow up on them. I've got a couple to follow up on right now. So we'll see. Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Quick, Steve. Mike's got the second. Everybody vote by getting up and leave.